Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Rarsu Amaibi. On this channel, I film content surrounding graduate school, sustainability education, and lifestyle. Today is another episode of the research feature series, and on the channel today we have Ifeanyi Okpala. He's a third year Ph.D. candidate at the University of Alabama studying civil engineering. We're going to be learning all about his research today. So, welcome, Ifeanyi. Thank you for accepting to come on the channel.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Yeah.
So, to start off, can you just introduce yourself? Give us a short bio about yourself.
Yeah, sure. My name is Ifeanyi Okpala. I'm Nigerian. I'm currently an international student at the University of Alabama. I specialize in construction engineering and management. My major is civil engineering, and I do research around robotics and automation, basically technology integration, trying to get machines in the hands of people in workspaces. I like football. I go to school in Alabama, so we do a lot of football there. And we're current national champions, so that's a big deal for us. So I watch a lot of American football, European soccer. I like food. I'm still trying to be a gym enthusiast, but that's not working. Anyways, so that's just a bit about myself.
So, what did you study in undergrad?
Civil engineering.
Oh, okay. So you basically just continued in civil engineering. Was there like a push to the particular research path you took? How did you choose that research path in civil engineering?
Yeah, so in civil, we have five basic specializations. It's a lot more than that right now, but back when I was an undergrad, that was the five everyone kept talking about. That was what was woven into the curriculum. So the five specializations are structural engineering, geotechnical engineering, transportation, highway, construction engineering, and I think engineering surveying. So then I didn't pick any specialty. I just did everything. We were not required to pick a preference or have a preference. And then after that, I went to work. I worked for a consulting company, Oviarop and Partners, down in Lagos. So I did a lot of geotechnical engineering design, supervision, and I did a lot of tender evaluation. So a lot of project management there. Then afterwards, I did some research work around proposal writing and execution with a company called BAS Consulting. And then I moved to petroleum and gas. So I was an operations engineer for a year, where you do basically multidisciplinary engineering. So I was exposed to the highest levels of technology for safety, pumping, reservoir gauging, and a bunch of high-level operational activities. So then I started doing a lot of research around, what is obtainable, what's going to happen in the global workforce going forward. And everything that kept coming up was tech development, tech integration, tech diffusion, tech adoption. Different tools were coming up, depending on whatever you want to do. But what struck my fancy was the fact that we're beginning to have robots in the workspace. Folks in manufacturing have done a lot of that, but typically in construction, we don't really have that. So at that point, I was no longer in construction, right? I was just doing special projects as part of my company's project team. So I decided to come to grad school, learn what those advanced technologies are, how to use them, and how to ensure that people are safer, there's increase in quality, cost, and to ensure that productivity improves. So my case study right now is construction, which is where I am, because you have to actually play out how this thing works in a particular space. But then I can find broad applications for what I do in a lot of places, a lot of industries. So that was how I decided to come study construction engineering and management, because it fuses the tech side I'm talking about and the management side and then that works for me. So that is why I decided to come to grad school. That's why I decided to study what I'm studying. And that's why I decided to do research around what I'm researching.
Nice. I think we missed your undergraduate college. What university did you go for first?
Oh, Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. It's in a state called Ogun State in Nigeria. But I
Okay.
have a master's degree from the University of Alabama. So yeah, so
Oh,
bachelor, master's, and now PhD.
nice. So in layman's term, so
Uh,
like reduce the jargons. Can you like tell us what your research is about?
yeah, sure. So so people do a lot of work, right? For example, people try to build houses with brick and mortar. You see them on construction sites every day. Um, right now, everybody knows about drones that basically fly around and help you capture high level images and help you record any activity that's going on, right? But a lot of people do not know that there are a bunch of technologies that are equally interesting, like the drones that everybody knows that allows you to do more work. So my job is to find out what those technologies are. Examples of them are like Iron Man suits. We have exoskeletons, which are basically things you wear that allow you
Oh,
to do more work, more like the Iron Man, scenario.
when you
Um,
said Iron Man, like
yeah,
super.
Iron Man suits, and I call them Iron Man suit, but they're extra suits. You have like robots walking around, picking the brick and picking it from one point to another, and then the mason, can just put the mold instead of somebody actually carrying the brick.
Mhm.
So when you have all those technologies in play, or when you want to introduce the ones that people are not using, it can either do two things. It can either hurt the workers. For example, if the robot just loses control and just start running towards the worker and then
Mhm.
start hitting the worker will get into an accident, right? Or it can introduce its own unique risks. Like, for example, if you wear the Iron Man suit, which is the exoskeleton, if the exoskeleton is not comfortable when you wear it, like it's not your size, or you are not able to actually do work properly because now you have something you're wearing. If it's not efficient, it can actually harm you. So it can maybe disfigure your posture, cause some accidents as a result of the fact that you're now clumsy and all that. So my second job is to find out all the bad things that can happen when you bring in those things into your workspace. So we call those things risks and hazards, safety risks and hazards. So at the end of my dissertation, I'm supposed to develop like a checklist. So if you want to go and carry brick with an exoskeleton, it's supposed to allow you carry it easily, right? Because it's like a Iron Man suit, it's like a robotic, arm. But now, before you go and do it, when you key in my application, the task you want to do, which is brick carrying or drywall carrying or anything, and you click it in that you want to use the exosuit, it's going to give you a bunch of things that you need to do to ensure that you don't get hurt.
Mhm.
So we call that pre-task planning, and I'm supposed to develop a protocol that assists with that. So that is the second part of my research. Now, the third part is, I don't know about you, but in the summer it gets really hot.
Mhm.
And in the winter, even now in spring, now everything's messed up because of climate. You're a
Yeah.
climate. It gets really cold. So it only makes sense to account for extreme heat and
Weather
extreme
conditions.
temperature, right? So I put together a lab, well, not me, my PI, mean, where we plan to simulate those activities. So we'll turn on an air conditioner unit, and put it so at maybe 20 degrees or something. Everyone will be so cold. Or we're going to increase the heat. And we'll get people to wear the Iron Man suits, right? And do some work. And then we'll find out the effects of the temperature on them. And in the end, we should be able to make valuable contributions, because it's okay to say, oh, wear your suit, fly your drone, put the robot carrying the brick, everywhere. But will it be effective when they are out in the open in the summer, in the extreme heat, or when they are working in maybe like Colorado or Indiana, where you have a lot of snow. So that is the experimental part, and every result I get from that supposed to be able to advise pre-task planning more.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a summary of my dissertation.
Your research is so interesting. Like I'm not in that field, but I'm like, yo, wow, Iron
Yeah,
Man
that's
suit. So, but like when you said the exoskeleton stuff,
yeah,
initially I thought like it was like, or maybe you actually said two different things. I don't get like a
uh,
robot separate from like the human that's
yeah.
actually
It's separate, but you wear it.
eh.
So it's
So
yeah, you wear it. So it's like a backpack.
because
So
like
you
if I
wear it
think
and it
of
connects.
if I think of Iron Man, when he wears his suit, like it makes him more powerful to like
Yeah,
carry
yeah,
things.
that's
So
the whole
like,
point of the exoskeleton. So it
oh,
allows you carry load with minimum effort from yourself. So it's basically the robot that's doing the thing. So it allows you use less force than you would normally use. And the good thing about this is, all these construction workers, where after a bunch of years, they, have some level of posture
mhm,
deformity and all that. We call that work-related musculoskeletal disorders. Now, it's because they've been exerting certain force at certain points repetitively over the years in certain positions. But when you now have the exosuit, it allows you to just do, like, for example, you've seen an electrician trying to drill overhead, right? So when you're drilling overhead, me and you agree that it's very difficult to be looking up and be drilling at the same time. You have pain in your arm area, right?
mhm,
So imagine when you wear the suit, you just lift your hand and be drilling, and your hand won't feel any pain
mhm,
because the
mhm.
effort is going to the suit. So you are spot on. It's not two different things, it's one
Oh,
thing.
okay.
And it's called the wearable exoskeleton. Some people call it a wearable robot. Some people call them, anything that fits, but it's actually an exoskeleton.
Have you ever won like any of this
Yes, yes, we have it in the lab.
in the
I mean,
lab?
we just got it. So I'll be running a bunch of experiments over the summer regarding all these things I told you, so I
Yeah.
can graduate.
Oh, okay. So like in the industry, like in the construction industry right now, is it being used or this like a new technology that wants to be
Yeah,
released?
so technology adoption in construction is very low right now. The Smart Market Report, which is a go-to report for industry practitioners and researchers that want to know what industry practitioners think about what's happening, states that the adoption rates are 4%. So technology is relatively the diffusion of technology or the adoption, acceptance. Now anybody can call it anything. For me, acceptance is when you decide to use it. Adoption is when you actually use it. Diffusion is when a lot of people are using it. But you'll find out that literature is mixed up a lot. Some people will say diffusion is adoption, acceptance is adoption. But now you get the picture.
Mhm.
So I don't use the large big grammar like you said. People are not really using it in construction. So we are trying to get people to use it. And the reason people are not using it, aside the fact that it can be expensive, some of them, um, they might not have buy-in from the clients or the stakeholders that, oh, let's even use this new technology. But we've identified that one of the major things is that the safety risks and hazards have not been accounted for and properly planned for. So that's why we're going in that space, so that when people see that it is safe to actually use it and they have information of what they need to do before they actually start using it, hopefully to drive the adoption rate up. So we're trying to solve our own problem from like a construction safety, workforce safety, worker safety, and health point of view. Now, let me give you another example of a technology that you would enjoy hearing about. You have an Apple Watch or a Samsung Watch or any smartwatch, right?
Mhm.
And it actually reads your vitals, even when you work out and all that. Now, I heard it can do ECG and all that. But then it tracks your location, right? To a large extent, you should be able to sense when there's danger. I don't know if the Apple Watch or the Samsung, I don't want to market anybody's product, so much, but we have what we call wearable sensing devices in construction too. Not in construction, like anywhere, but can be used in construction, where you wear it like an Apple Watch, and then your employers can track your location on site. If you are within 6 feet of another worker, it can start vibrating. That's how you can keep the whole 6 feet COVID requirement. That's another type of technology too that people are also pushing in construction. But issues around the wearable technology was what I dealt with for my master's degree. So right now I've moved on to the bigger stuff. I mean, that's what a PhD should be about. Something that is a big problem that people have not even started playing with, which will be a relevant problem in the next 10 years. So things like wearable devices have started seeing a lot of uses, but when you go further to the exosuits, the single task robots, which are the things that carry bricks from spot to another, those things have not seen a lot of widespread acceptance. And those are the problems I'm trying to solve.
So, you talked about like doing like the research during your masters and now for PhD, but like
Yeah.
you entered into a PhD program, right? Then
Yeah, I was admitted into a PhD program.
along the way you got the master. So is it that you had to do like a separate thesis to get your masters?
Yes, I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was admitted into the master's program during the PhD as a secondary degree. The master's is not the condition to get the PhD.
Oh, okay.
So I took a different route, did a thesis, and the master's, and came back and continued the PhD.
So like did you start your PhD research before the masters? Like because I'm trying to understand that you
I so it made sense to me that at the beginning I understood I was all about the technology, right? Solving safety, health, productivity issues. So I started learning about what acceptance is about, in order to understand why people are not even using technology. Then I ended up using the popular medical adverts, ideology, which is when they tell you, hey, if you use this, the ailments will reduce by how many percent. If you use this, it's recommended by doctors and all that. People go and use those things, right? So I decided why not sell the fact that technologies can be successful, can make you successful, can increase productivity among your workers, can make your workers more content and all that. So I decided to create a success model that shows how a lot of factors increase organizational performance. So I developed the model, tested it, validated it, had a bunch of significant gaps and all that around it. And that was the thesis. So that earned me the master's. So now I understand how organizations think, how individual workers think. I understand the technology acceptance problem. Now I'm looking at the future. So I decided, okay, let me, work on all these things I'm talking about. And that is what the dissertation ties into. So at the beginning, I started the dissertation research, and then I found an angle that was critical to my own development as a person, researcher, and as a doctoral student, and I chased it. And then I chased it as an MS thesis. But since I came into this country, I've never been a master's student. I came in as a doctoral student, so
yeah.
I've always been that. So yeah, so a lot of people find my situation to be very unique.
Mhm.
And that's why I, I can only explain it to people like you who really want to know what's about. Otherwise, it just gets more confusing. Hey, did you start the master before the PhD? No, the master is not a condition for the PhD. Oh, so how did you do the MS thesis and all that? I have to explain. Um, so yeah, so that's it. If it makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. It does make sense because like some people just get like maybe the MNG along the way. They don't need to do a separate thesis, right? They just like if they meet the course requirement for
Mhm.
masters or whatever,
Yeah.
they can get the masters and just like continue with their PhD. So I just wanted to get that straight. So now in this interesting field of research, you're going to
Okay.
do your dissertation, you're going to get your PhD for emerging by the grace of God, we all we all get this PhD. So like for emerging scholars, like future PhD students that want to like come into this particular field of research,
Mhm.
what other research, what further research opportunities are available? What can they work on?
So I'll explain it in two ways. The first way is to find out what you want to work on and find an environment for it. The second way is to find out what people are doing and just plug yourself into it. The first one is you need to look at what the United States is prioritizing. You need to go to National Science Foundation, look at their plan for the next 10 years. Look at everything is segmented. It's pretty easy to look at. Look at your field and see what kind of research they want to fund. You already have a discipline, a major, you have an industry you want to play in. Go and look at the research institutes. For example, in my field, it's NIOSH, National Institution of Occupational Safety and Health, CII, Construction Industry Institute, ASC does a lot of work around that. ASSP, ASC is American Society of Civil Engineers. ASSP is American Society of Safety Professionals. You need to go and look at what those people are talking about to be research that they're interested in. And then you also need to look at CPWR. CPWR is the Center for Research and Training, CPWR. The acronym is not what the name is, but CPWR for a reason. Those are the guys that fund a lot of construction engineering management research. So you personally would have to have what seems like a problem that you want to solve in construction. It can be a cost issue, it can be quality, it can be technology-based problems, it can be accounting and finance, it can be safety generally. So when you identify that, then you marry that with what these 5 institutes or 5 organizations are talking about. That should give you an idea regarding whether what you're talking about is feasible, or whether it's something that's not, maybe someone has done and they are trying to do the next level. And that way, you now start looking for labs that prioritize that type of research, and you reach out to them. That's one way. The second way is basically to go and look up grants that have been awarded in the last 3 years. Just go to NSF, look at active grants, use keyword search for what you want to do. And then you find out the PIs and then trace their universities. That's where the money is. And reach out to them. Hey, I found out that you're working on this. I'm interested in this research, and you're in. And they want to work with you. And then you can also do the same for NIOSH, do the same for CPWR. So it depends on the angle you want to play. The first one is your own. The second one is, okay, where's the money at? And then that one already tells you nobody's going to fund something that is not unique, innovative, or is niche. So that would be my advice for anybody who's trying to get into construction engineering, management research, or let's say workforce development research. You can look at it from tech, safety, productivity, cost, quality, or risk analysis.
So this is no, it's probably still related to research, but
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what that's fine.
So if you're always receiving awards from every corner. Like every time I'm on LinkedIn and like there's a new award, don't even on Instagram. How do you get these awards?
I've slowed down now. I've gotten the big one that I wanted to get, and now I've calmed down. So there, I'm somebody who does 3 things for myself. The first one is I work very hard. Um, I probably will be working at 2 hours, 4 hours. Sometimes I crash 10 hours, no problem. But I like work super hard when I can. Sometimes I lose motivation, like this weekend. But yes, I try to push myself to get the work done. So when I do all that, I like to move into phase 2, which is to ask myself, is there any recognition for all these things I'm doing? So I like to tie it to either a milestone, a degree, a certification, or something. And like you mentioned, awards and honors. So then I take it upon myself to find out which awards or honors I qualify for, or which scholarship. And then I move into phase three, which is to express interest somehow. So it might be me reaching out directly, it might be me reaching out to my professor or another professor to reach out on my behalf, if that's the way nominations is supposed to be. Or it can be me just being a good guy and then people see I'm qualified and then recommend. So when I pass through those three phases at every cycle, every quarter and all that, I end up applying for the awards. I end up being nominated for the awards. I end up being considered even when I don't know. And then they just come. So they're a mixture of fellowships on campus, scholarships from external bodies, and then just normal meritocracy, awards given for maybe special recognition for something I did or my level of productivity over the last, couple of years. So that's how they come.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know.
like I like that you mentioned like the different ways. Like sometimes they just nominate you, but other
Yeah,
times you actually have to apply if there's an application for
yeah,
an
I have to choose it.
award, or like send, like tell your professors or whatever. Because I think, especially for Nigerians, or maybe not even Nigerians, maybe it was just me. Like when I started this program, I remember there was a time they sent out like a form to
Mhm.
nominate for award or blah blah blah. And like I didn't even I'm like, yo, why nominate myself or tell someone, tell, maybe reach out for people. But no, like there are different ways you can get awards. Not you don't always just wait for like you to be nominated. Yes, you'll be
No,
nominated in some instance, but like
yeah,
actually reach out in some instance if you like have
yeah, if you
worked out for
qualify.
that award. If there's an application, fellowship, scholarship, apply. And yeah, because in this PhD journey, we're working towards the PhD, right? At the end, we'll
Yeah.
get the PhD degree, but like these things in between actually like
Yeah, like Einstein,
accumulate.
Einstein and co did good stuff, good research. But do you know who invented the refrigerator?
No.
Yeah, because he didn't get a Nobel or
Yeah,
something. That's
exactly.
the difference.
Mhm.
Like, who invented the generator? Nobody knows. But we know Nikola Tesla, like light, because he got recognition. So you can be the researcher that will just be doing the work. At the worst case, best case, you get a patent. But are you the guy who is going to get the Nobel that everybody will clap for?
Mhm.
Like, yeah, so everybody is awesome.
Yeah,
You get the award doesn't mean you're the best.
best,
It just
exactly.
means you got a recognition.
Mm.
So you have to actually chase the recognition
Mm-hmm.
when you can.
When you can.
And it's not even a selfish adventure. It's not
Exactly. It's not
politics.
selfish. And that's
It's
what
not
I'm trying.
policy. It's
Yeah,
just reward for what you've done. And
exactly.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the
So,
way
but
I.
congratulations on all your
Yeah,
numerous
thanks.
awards.
Thanks. I just got the graduate council fellowship
Oh,
at the university, which is only given to 20 people
oh,
every year
awesome. Awesome.
amongst current grad students. So that funds my last year, hopefully. So that's the big one I said I've been waiting for. I've been rejected in the past, and then not in this time. So I'm
Oh.
excited.
So, are you a TA? Like, I, I,
I'm a
I call
utility
all
player.
PhD students ROA, even if it's not officially
I'm
written.
a
But okay.
utility player. Like
Yeah. What?
I'm a utility player in the
Okay.
sense that I do everything. So officially, in my memorandum of is it was it, understanding where my money comes from, I'm a TA.
Oh, okay.
But whenever they send the form, I just tick the remaining boxes because right now I'm an instructor of record. I teach a full class like a
Yeah.
like a professor, practically, minimal supervision. I also do research in the lab, experiments. In fact, I'm like more like the student coordinator of the lab. I've been doing that all the time. I work on projects that I'm probably not paid from that project directly at that point in time, but I do the work. So I'm an RE right from time.
Yeah.
I've also like graded. Every semester I've been assigned a class, and at the same time I've been doing research with my professor, and then I've been privileged to step in from time to time as a guest lecturer where maybe professors are on conferences and all that, and then I go and just teach their class. And I teach a full class myself. This is the second time I'm doing it. So that's why I say I'm a utility player.
Mm-hmm.
So I just do everything. So my profile is teaching, research assistant, and
Yeah.
instructor of record because I do the three every time.
Mm-hmm. So that
Yeah.
brings me to the next question. How are you able to combine like your research, academic, all of your work life with your social life? Do you have a social life with all of
Oh
this?
yeah, I do. I have a social life. My social life is even above average, more than a lot of people that don't even do half of what I do.
I know you travel.
Yeah, I travel and I do a lot of stuff that I don't make it to social media. Like a lot of stuff that even when I do it, people will be like, oh, is this you? How come? All that, but it
Yeah.
doesn't get to Instagram. I don't want Wahala. For people who are non-Nigerian, Wahala is I don't want problems. Because in certain settings you have to keep certain profiles. So I don't want to be the one who loses my job or gives my colleague bad perception. So yes, how do I combine all this? I'm not perfect at any method. I just schedule. So at the beginning of every cycle, which for me now is every semester, and when it's work life, I'll just decide what to do every year. I have like a 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. calendar hourly with hourly intervals. The Google Calendar has replaced that now, but before I do it by hand. So I plug in all my classes. I knock off 30 minutes before each class, 30 minutes after a class, because nobody's ever productive. 30 minutes before each class, you're probably rushing to the class, running, waking up in the shower or something, 30 minutes after. Then I have research meetings every week. So I knock off that time. I'm teaching a class, I knock off that time. Then I decide, I have to prepare for a class. I need 3 hours or 4 hours to prepare each week. I block out that time. Um, then and I have to actually like study. So when is the best time to actually sit down and write papers? I decide the time each day or 1 day or 2 days in a week. I try to let my Wednesdays be free so I can typically run through research most of the days. I block that out. Then I do a lot of extracurricular. Um, I have a bunch. I think last time I checked, like 7 portfolios.
Wow.
And I'm active in every one of them. But most of them are 1 hour meetings. The rest are mostly emails and all that. So like Friday, 1 p.m., the student advisory board at the career center meets compulsory every week. I've not missed a meeting. Block out that time. So now, and I know, okay, this is my academic slash teaching slash ish timing. So the rest is my free time, right? Then I come back home. Hey, when do I want to cook? When is the best time to cook? I remove the time. When is the time to do laundry? Once a week. I remove that time. And then the calendar is filled up, right?
Mhm.
Then I need to make time for when I need to chill. And I start giving myself breaks. Okay, I've worked hard, I've worked hard. This Friday night, I have invitation to do a back crawl or something. What was I supposed to do on Friday night? Oh, I was probably supposed to just wash and unwind. Okay, I'll quickly rush home, throw the thing in the washer, turn it on, and go and party. Come back on Saturday morning. So the time I relax now, and I start giving myself breaks in between. But I
Mm.
can't miss a class because I want to go and chill. So
Yeah.
those ones are cast in stone. And then I'm like everybody who you have an assignment, you probably don't touch it until the day before. So, so then I run through the assignment, and sometimes it destroys some of my calendar and all that. So I do the same thing. When it's time to actually do research, sometimes I prioritize it over
Mm.
most coursework
Other things, yeah.
and all that. So in the end, I just keep. So the catch is, I have a plan, but I'm not a robot that just moves with the plan every time.
Mhm.
So in my head, I know, okay, I have leeway and I can move things around. But because I already have a plan, when I wake up and say what's happening tomorrow, I see the things that I do not have an option. I
Mhm.
need to attend. Then I decide to now walk my
Way around other
around it.
things.
Then I can fix meeting with people
Mm.
and do all that. So
Mm.
that's a summary. I don't know if that will help somebody, but that's how I do mine. I'm not the I just see how it goes. No, but I'm pretty organized most times.
Yeah, that's really really
Yeah.
good. The fact that you schedule everything because it's not easy.
Yeah, yeah, it's not
Yeah,
easy. The schedule doesn't work 100%, but it works
yeah,
90% of times.
yeah. That's awesome. And like, guys, he also does social media stuff. Oh, like he is on Twitter,
Yeah,
Instagram, or like,
I'm
and
looking
like,
for
yo,
content now.
like,
I'm
and it's consistent. Like, Ifeanyi, you're doing a really good job because I
uh,
know, like, I'm on YouTube and I'm not always consistent because when my supervisor
no for
throws something at me, I'm like, no,
yeah,
wait.
yeah,
But yeah, that's really great. Um, so, what advice would you give to future? I think you've talked about like people want to come into your field. So, like,
mhm,
just generally now, what advice would you give to students looking at coming into a PhD degree? Like,
mhm,
what, as someone in the process, what
mhm.
advice would you give to them?
So first of all, you need to decide whether you want to be writing because you have to write. You have to write. You have to learn how
Every
to do literature.
time.
You have to learn how that. So use your SOP, statement of purpose, to decide whether you want to actually write. Like you can't be in the PhD program and be complaining that you have to write articles. I mean, you can complain that the articles are, daunting and stressful, but you have to be resigned to the fate that you have to write, seek for new knowledge, attempt to, postulate theories, validate, test them. So mentally, you need to decide that that's what you want to do. Um, then you need to find a program that has a free spot. So that's why you need to reach out to professors in your field, and find out if they have space for new students in their lab. My rule of thumb is if they tell you no or they don't even answer, don't even bother applying to the program. Because you want to work with the professor that responds to their emails. At the same time, you don't want to apply to a program with a very good portfolio, but there's no money to fund you. And then you just get rejected. And you're wondering why you're rejected because there's no money. Fine, you have potential and all that, but there's no money. I mean, they're not going to fund you from thin air. So that's why you need a professor who's going to tell you that there is space for this semester. You tend to enroll in. The other one is in order to ensure that you are prepared for an engineering PhD, you need to have some sort of work-life plan. Um, I end like a school year and take like 2 weeks off, whether I'm going to another country, just disappearing, road trip, going to high, chill, explore one tower or something. I just run away. That's my own way of unwinding at the end of an extended cycle.
Graduation.
But in between, I run off, come back, take a weekend, and all that. So you have to just, it's going to be a gruesome, pardon my word, but I like to describe it that way, gruesome process. But you need to decide how you want your work life to be.
Mhm.
If you have a partner, you need to consider your partner. You need to have that hard discussion, like how is it going to be for the next 3 to 4 years, so that if the pressure is getting to you and it's getting to them, or all of you know that it's just for that period because you had a plan. So you don't enter and then, when imposter syndrome and all that starts hitting at you, you just, collapse. At least that time, okay, I have a plan. Okay, but I have imposter syndrome. I feel like I can't do it. You start looking for help where help is. But it's not that idea. You're like, oh, is this how it is? And you just run away. So those are my advice on getting the money, on actually running through a feasible adventure. And I think the first one was about understanding that you have to write and deciding that you are going to write, because you'll be writing everywhere, like proposal, plan, articles. Yeah,
So yeah, thanks. So
yeah.
what are like your future plans? Do you think you're staying in academia or you really want to go into the
I'm
industry?
pretty open. So by default, I'm working towards academia. So last time I checked, I have 4 journal articles, 4 conference papers, and I have 2 in review and a book chapter in review. So if everything comes out the way it's supposed to be, I'll probably finish with 6 or 7 articles. Now I have 3 first authors. So maybe the first author will go to like 5.
Mm-hmm.
Because because I'll push at least two more. And we're not even talking about my dissertation articles, which are like three, and the book chapter. So I'll, use that to chase the professor job. I think that should be enough for at least an R2. But I'll chase R1s mostly. So by default, that is it. But then, by virtue of my training, I do a lot of practice-based research. I've not talked about sign, tan, cost. So to be here, it's more about, tech integration, what works. So I should be able to fit in to any R&D, Fortune 500. So I'm looking around. So I'm basically going to be searching for both markets, the industry and academia at the same pace.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And then I'll just cast my net. By early 2022, I'll see what I'm getting. It's based on what I'm getting, I decide.
Yeah.
I don't have a hard preference. If I get a huge R&D in a good company, I can always be an adjunct professor to a school close to my house and give back. I might not even get paid because, my education is at least $250,000. If you look at it throughout the Ph.D. And I'm not paying a dime, although I'm working. But it's better than nothing. So if I have a way to give back. So yeah, so I don't have a hard preference, but if I'm pushed to the wall, I would say that it's the industry. If I get a very good research corporation that's willing to implement these ideas, but it depends on my audience. Academia is academia, industry is industry. But yeah, I'm going to chase them on the same scale.
Thank you very much, Ifeanyi, for coming on here, sharing all you did with us. We're very grateful. And so I'll be leaving like your contact details
Yeah,
down in the description box, your
yeah, that works. My
LinkedIn, social media.
Twitter.
Yeah. And so, like, if you want to talk with him further, please go follow him on all of those like handles. If you want to learn more about the exoskeleton Iron Man
Yeah,
suit.
robotics automation work, Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to
So
be playing a lot with those things.
yeah, you see all of like his information. And like I said, he's on Twitter and he does like a lot of admission for like international students, gives like resources, and also it would be good if you follow him on there too. So yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you to my audience for watching till the end of this video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Please subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. Bye.
Subscribe. All right. Yeah. Take care.